Her body tensed as she waited for his next move. In a single practiced motion, he bent her legs at the knees, tipped them back toward her head, grabbed the tether that was around her neck, and tied the other end to her ankles. "Hand!" he ordered. Aubrey, her right arm beneath her stomach, reached all the way down until her hand was between her legs. "Life is good," he repeated. "Make it better." Her fingers groped, parting the pleats, entering the canal, tantalizing the nerve endings. The effect was dizzying. The man with the whip, the foul-smelling ruins, and the inescapable presence of 13,000 dead souls. He said something, but she couldn't hear over the sound of her own labored breathing. And then, the point of no return. She felt the swell of gratification surging through her body, and with near-surgical precision, she gently lowered her feet toward the ground. The silk rope around her neck tightened, compressing her carotid arteries. The sudden loss of oxygen, along with the buildup of carbon dioxide, made her lightheaded, giddy, almost hallucinogenic. The orgasm came in waves. It left her gasping for air, but the euphoria was so powerful, so addictive, that she intensified the pressure around her neck, knowing she could go just a few more seconds. If erotic asphyxiation were an Olympic event, Aubrey Davenport would have been a world-class contender. Her brain was just on the threshold of losing consciousness when she released the death grip and brought her feet back toward her buttocks. But the noose refused to relax. If anything, it felt tighter. Panic seized her. She thrashed, pulled her hands up to her throat, and clawed at the silk, fighting for air and finding none. She never made mistakes. Something must have snagged. She reached behind her neck, desperately trying to find some slack, when her fingers found his hand. He jerked hard on the silk cord, and her arms flailed. She slumped, too weak to struggle, all hope gone. Everything went black, and as the Reaper stepped out of the darkness to claim her, tears streamed down her cheeks, because in the last seconds of her life, Aubrey Davenport finally realized that she didn't want to die. 2. The Cotillion room at the Pierre Hotel bubbled over with New York's wealthiest, including a few who were wealthier than some countries. They were the richest of the rich, the ones who get invited to $50,000 a plate dinners when one of their own wants to tap them for a worthy cause. In this case, the charity with its hand out was the Silver Bullet Foundation. The 30-foot-long banner at the front of the hall proclaimed its noble mission: fighting for the less fortunate. The man in the black tie and white jacket bussing tables in the rear had boiled when he first saw the sign. They haven't done shit for me, and I'm the least fortunate person in the room. They're like swans, he thought, as he watched them glide serenely from table to table. So elegant, so regal, but fiercely territorial and vicious when they feel threatened. And like swans, he observed, they are oh so white. He counted half a dozen black swans among them, but for the most part the people of color were there to serve. He fit right in. With his shoulders slumped, his jaw slack, and a cheap pair of clear-lens nerd glasses to dial down the intensity of his piercing black eyes, he was practically invisible, and definitely forgettable. The only human contact he'd had in the 3 hours since donning the uniform was with a besotted old patrician who'd slurred, "Hey, fella, where's the men's room?" Shortly after 9, the lights dimmed, the chatter died down, and the commanding voice of James Earl Jones piped through the sound system. "Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome the co-founder and chairman of the Silver Bullet Foundation, Mr. Princeton Wells." The staff had been instructed to stop work during the presentation, and the busboy dutifully stepped into the shadows near a fire exit as Princeton Wells bounded onto the stage. Wells was his typically charming, still boyish at 40, old-moneyed self. And lest any man in the room suspect that someone that rich and that good-looking wasn't getting laid, Wells kicked off the festivities by introducing his current girlfriend, Kenda Whitehouse.